From possessing Will Byers in 1984 to being the power behind Vecna's terror, the Mind Flayer has haunted Stranger Things since Season 2. Season 4 showed Vecna shaped the Mind Flayer from particles in Dimension X, making Henry Creel the puppet master. Or did it? With Season 5 dropping November 2025, fans spent 3 years analyzing every detail. In this video, we're breaking down 5 theories about the Mind Flayer's true role in Season 5. The Mind Flayer actually controls Vecna. Ever since Season 4 dropped, everyone assumed Vecna was the big bad. Henry Creel got sent to Dimension X in 1979, found a cloud of particles, shaped them into the spider monster we know as the Mind Flayer, and became the master of the Upside Down. Case closed, right? Not according to this theory. Look at what Dustin said in Season 2. He described the Mind Flayer as a monster from an unknown dimension, so ancient it doesn't even know its true home. That means the Mind Flayer existed long before Vecna, long before Hawkins, long before everything. Then in Season 4, Dustin himself called Vecna the Mind Flayer's 5-star general. Not its creator, its general. That's a massive difference. The Broadway play Stranger Things: The First Shadow backs this up. Multiple sources report that the play hints the Mind Flayer was controlling Vecna all along, not the other way around. He just shaped it into an image he could understand. Vecna claims he found particles in Dimension X and shaped them into the Mind Flayer, resembling the spiders he loved. That's his version, his memories. But what if the Mind Flayer let him believe that? In Dungeons & Dragons lore, Mind Flayers are known for treachery and mental domination. They manipulate. They make you think you're in control while pulling every string. Vecna thinks he's the mastermind. But if the Mind Flayer predates him by centuries, then every choice might have been influenced by the entity he thought he controlled. The theory suggests Vecna walked into Dimension X in 1979 and got infected by the Mind Flayer's will. It recognized Henry's hatred and powers. Perfect puppet, so it let Henry reshape its form while it reshaped his mind. By the time Vecna opens the first gate in 1983, he's not executing his plan, he's executing the Mind Flayer's plan. This explains why the Mind Flayer has been effective across seasons, using different strategies, possessing Will in Season 2, creating the spider monster in Season 3, working through Vecna's curse killings in Season 4. Different tactics, same ancient intelligence. If this theory holds true, Season 5's final battle isn't just Eleven versus Vecna. It's 11 versus an entity that's existed longer than human civilization. Vecna might get defeated halfway through the season, only for the Mind Flayer to reveal itself as the true threat. Or worse, Vecna gets killed, but the Mind Flayer just finds a new host. Max, Will, even Eleven herself. The ancient evil doesn't die with Vecna, because Vecna was never really in control. Before we continue, subscribe for more insane Stranger Things theories and breakdowns. Here's where it gets darker. What if defeating the Mind Flayer means confronting something even Will can't sense? Will Byers has hidden powers that could destroy Vecna. Will Byers survived a week in the Upside Down at 12 years old. No powers, no training. Barb Holland died within hours. Will survived 7 days. The Season 5 opening scene shows why. Vecna specifically wanted Will. The Demogorgon brings Will to Vecna, who addresses him by name, William. Vecna shoved a feeding tube down Will's throat and kept him alive. Why? Because Will has something Vecna needs. The theory suggests Will developed powers from his time in the Upside Down. When Will crashed his bike fleeing the Demogorgon, he fell and got hurt. That wound exposed him to the spores, the particles, the energy of Dimension X. Just like Henry Creel got powers from his exposure to the Mind Flayer's influence in the 1950s, Will acquired abilities from direct contact with the Upside Down's environment. Season 2 confirmed Will had a psychic connection to the Mind Flayer after his possession. Season 4 showed that connection never fully disappeared. Will can sense when Vecna is near. He felt the Upside Down bleeding into Hawkins before anyone else. He's tied to that dimension in ways no one else is. But what if the connection goes deeper than sensing? What if Will can control it? Here's the evidence. The Upside Down is frozen on November 6, 1983, the exact day Will disappeared. Mancy discovers this in Season 4. Her diary stops on that date. Nothing past November 6th exists there. Why that specific date? The Duffer Brothers confirmed this mystery drives Season 5. The theory suggests Will froze it. When Will got dragged into Dimension X, terrified and alone, his mind reached out for something familiar. Home, Hawkins. His memories of November 6, 1983 were so strong, he accomplishly shaped the Upside Down into the Hawkins he knew. This explains a major plot hole from Season 1. Will communicated with Joyce using the alphabet painted on the wall, but if the Upside Down is frozen on November 6th, Joyce didn't paint that alphabet until after Will disappeared. He shouldn't have been able to see it, unless Will's connection to his mother was strong enough that he recreated the alphabet in the Upside Down. He shaped reality through his bond with Joyce. That's a power Vecna would desperately want to exploit. Vecna shaped the Mind Flayer, Will shaped Hawkins. Both of them have the ability to influence the Upside Down, but Will's power might be different, stronger, more connected to humanity and emotion rather than hatred and destruction. The Season 5 trailer shows Will screaming, "Run," while looking up at something in the sky. Another scene shows Vecna telling Will, "You are going to help me one last time," while using telekinesis to drag him closer. Vecna doesn't kill Will, he needs him. The theory suggests Vecna plans to use Will's connection to the Upside Down to complete his invasion. Maybe Will can open gates, maybe he can merge dimensions, maybe he can reshape reality itself. The Duffers said Season 5 will answer two questions. What is the Upside Down? Why was Will taken? This theory answers both. The Upside Down is a dimension shaped by psychic trauma and power. Will was taken because Vecna sensed his latent abilities the moment 11 opened the first gate. The final battle might not be 11 versus Vecna. It might be Will versus Vecna, a battle of two psychics who both shaped the Upside Down in their own image. Vecna made it a wasteland of monsters and death. Will made it Hawkins, his home. Season 1 ended with Will using a fireball to defeat a Thessal Hydra in Dungeons & Dragons. The game predicted his capture by the Demogorgon. It might also predict his role in defeating the final monster. If Will has fire powers like his D&D character, he'd be the perfect weapon against Vecna, who we've seen can be hurt by fire. Will coming full circle from scared victim in Season 1 to powerful hero in Season 5 would be the perfect ending for his character. The craziest part of this theory? Will might not be helping Vecna one last time. He might be helping defeat him. Max Mayfield's consciousness is trapped inside Vecna's mind. Max died at the end of Season 4. Her heart stopped. Her bones broke. Her eyes went blind. Then 11 restarted her heart. Max's body came back. But when 11 tried to reach Max's mind, she found nothing, just emptiness. Max's body is alive in a coma. Her consciousness is gone. Or is it? This theory says Max's mind is trapped inside Vecna. Dr. Brenner explained it in Season 4. When Vecna kills, he doesn't just end lives. He consumes everything. Memories, abilities, everything they are and will ever be. Max technically died. Her heart stopped long enough for Vecna to trigger the fourth gate. That moment gave Vecna the opening to take something from her. Maybe not her entire soul, but part of her consciousness. That's why 11 can't find Max. Max isn't in her body. She's trapped in Vecna's head. Here's where it gets interesting. Back in Season 4, Max's first encounter with Vecna was different from the others. Nancy asked Max what happened when she escaped the first time. Max described a red fog everywhere, like a dream or nightmare. When she made it to Vecna's lair, something felt wrong. Vecna seemed surprised, almost like he didn't want her there yet. Dustin suggested maybe Max infiltrated Vecna's mind instead of Vecna infiltrating hers. If Max could access Vecna's memories once, she might be doing it again, except this time she's stuck there, unable to leave, unable to wake up. Season 5 leaks reportedly show Max and 11 in scenes set in the 1950s. That's when Henry Creel was a child, before he became Vecna. Those scenes suggest 11 will dive into Vecna's memories to find Max, navigating through Henry's childhood, his trauma, his murders, his transformation into Vecna, all while Max is trapped somewhere in those memories, possibly fighting Vecna from the inside. The theory gets darker. Some fans believe Vecna isn't just holding Max prisoner, he's planning to use her body. When Robin, Nancy, and Steve attacked Vecna at the end of Season 4, his body was badly damaged. They hit him with Molotov cocktails, blasted him with shotguns. He fell from the attic and disappeared. What if Vecna's physical form was destroyed or severely weakened? What if he needs a new host while he recovers? Max's empty body lying in a coma would be perfect. Her consciousness is trapped in his mind. Her body is defenseless in the hospital. Vecna could possess Max, using her as a vessel until he's strong enough to return to his own form. Or worse, he could permanently take over her body and use it to get close to 11. Imagine the horror of 11's final battle. She's fighting Vecna, but Vecna is inside Max's body. 11 would have to attack her best friend to destroy her worst enemy. Every punch 11 throws hurts Max, Every psychic blast damages Max's body. Vecna would love that. He feeds on trauma and pain. Using Max as a puppet to torture 11 psychologically while they fight physically would be the ultimate mind game. This theory also explains why Max's Funko Pop figure was placed upside down in producer Ross Duffer's behind-the-scenes photo. Every other character's figure was right side up, just Max was flipped, upside down, possibly hinting that Max is literally in the upside down, trapped in Vecna's mind. Comment below what you think happens to Max. Because if 11 kills Vecna while Max is trapped inside him, does Max die too? She might be the key to defeating Vecna, or the final sacrifice. That leads us to the monster that's been hiding in plain sight since Season 1. The Thessal Hydra will appear as Season 5's final monster. Mike Wheeler drops a Dungeons & Dragons miniature on the board in Season 1. The monster is the Thessal Hydra, an 8-headed beast with a gaping mouth surrounded by serpentine heads. In the game, the kids face this creature in the final campaign of Season 1. Will's fireball works. The party wins. That campaign hasn't come true in real life yet. Every other D&D game the kids played predicted actual events. Season 1's Demogorgon game paralleled Will's capture by the real Demogorgon. Season 2's Mind Flayer game predicted the shadow monster possessing Will. Season 3's Juju zombies predicted the Flayed. Season 4's Vecna game predicted fighting Vecna in the Creel House. The only monster mentioned in D&D that hasn't appeared yet is the Thessal Hydra. That's about to change. Nancy saw something in Vecna's vision during Season 4. When she recounts what Vecna showed her, she describes a giant creature with a gaping mouth. That description matches the Thessal Hydra exactly. In D&D lore, a Thessal Hydra has 8 heads arranged around a massive circular mouth full of jagged teeth. It's reptilian, it's huge, it's terrifying, and Nancy saw it in Vecna's apocalyptic vision of Hawkins' future. More evidence comes from Will's painting in Season 4. He creates this artwork showing the Hawkins friend group as knights, fighting a red dragon with multiple heads. Will gave the painting to Mike. At the time, fans thought it was just symbolic, a metaphor for their battle against Vecna. But what if it was literal? What if Will's painting, like his D&D games, was predicting the future? The painting shows a 3-headed dragon. The Thessal Hydra has 8 heads. Close enough when you're painting a metaphor. The Season 5 trailer dropped more hints. During one scene, Will screams, "Run!" while looking up at something. His voice cracks with terror, and behind his scream, there's a sound, a roar. It sounds like a dragon, not a Demogorgon's screech or a Mind Flayer's shriek, something bigger, something new. Another scene in the trailer shows D&D figures on a table. The party's characters arranged around a dragon miniature in the middle. Fans zoomed in on that shot and identified the dragon figure as suspiciously similar to a Thessal Hydra design. If Vecna is controlling the Mind Flayer, and the Mind Flayer controls all upside-down creatures through the hive mind, then a Thessal Hydra would be the ultimate weapon. Bigger than a Demogorgon, deadlier than Demobats, more terrifying than anything the gang has faced. The theory suggests Vecna will unleash the Thessal Hydra during the final battle. Maybe he creates it from the Mind Flayer's particles, like he created the spider monster in Season 3. Maybe it's been sleeping in Dimension X this whole time, and Vecna finally wakes it up. Maybe the Thessal Hydra is the Mind Flayer's true final form. However it appears, this creature represents the culmination of every monster across 5 seasons. It's the final boss. The reason the Thessal Hydra theory has so much support is because of how Stranger Things uses D&D to foreshadow major plot points. The Duffers don't just throw in D&D references for fun. Every campaign, every miniature, every game matters. The fact that the Thessal Hydra was introduced in Season 1's final episode and still hasn't appeared means it's being saved for something big, something final. Remember how Will defeated the Thessal Hydra in the Season 1 D&D game? Fireball. His character cast a fireball spell and won the campaign. If Will has developed powers like the theory suggests, and if those powers involve fire, like his D&D character, then Will using a fireball ability to destroy the Thessal Hydra in Season 5 would bring the entire show full circle. It started with Will losing to the Demogorgon in D&D and getting captured in real life. It would end with Will defeating the Thessal Hydra in D&D fashion and saving Hawkins in real life. The symmetry is perfect. The Duffers love symmetry. They've been planning the final scene of Season 5 for 6 or 7 years, according to interviews. Betting on Will versus Thessal Hydra as the final battle makes narrative sense. Of course, there's one more theory that makes Will the center of everything, not just as a hero, but as the reason the Upside Down exists at all. Will created the Upside Down version of Hawkins. When 11 blasted Henry Creel into Dimension X in 1979, that dimension looked nothing like Hawkins. It was a barren wasteland, red lightning, floating rocks, volcanic landscapes, no buildings, no streets, no houses, just a primordial hellscape filled with wandering demogorgons and the particle cloud that would become the Mind Flayer. That was Dimension X. By 1983, when Will got dragged through the gate, the Upside Down suddenly looked exactly like Hawkins. Dark, covered in vines and spores, but structurally identical to the real town. The Byers house existed there, the Wheeler house, Hawkins Middle School. The entire town had been replicated. How? Vecna says he was so very busy between 1979 and 1983. Some fans theorize he spent those 4 years building the upside-down version of Hawkins like a spider building a web. He created the entire town to trap his prey. Hawkins is his hunting ground, his domain, but there's a problem with that theory. The Upside Down isn't just a copy of Hawkins. It's a copy of Hawkins frozen on November 6, 1983, the exact day Will disappeared. Nancy confirmed it in Season 4. Her diary stops on that date. Her bedroom looks exactly like it did in 1983. Items she owned years ago that she's since thrown away still exist in the Upside Down, but anything from after November 6, 1983 doesn't exist there. If Vecna created the upside-down version of Hawkins before November 6th, why would he stop updating it on that exact day? Why freeze time on Will's abduction date specifically? He wouldn't, unless he didn't create it, unless someone else did. Someone who entered the Upside Down on November 6th, 1983, and unconsciously shaped it with their mind. Think about what happened that night. Will crashed his bike, got hurt, ran to his house, found it empty. The lights flickered, reality warped. A gate opened. The Demogorgon was hunting him. Will was 12 years old, terrified, desperate, and he had just been exposed to the energy of Dimension X through his wounds. In that moment of pure fear, Will's mind reached out. He needed somewhere to hide, somewhere safe, somewhere familiar. Home. So he created it. Not consciously, he didn't know he was doing it, but his psychic connection to Dimension X combined with his trauma and desperation caused him to project his memories of Hawkins into the dimension. He shaped the wasteland into his hometown, the last place he felt safe. That's why the Upside Down is frozen on November 6, 1983. That's the last day Will remembers, before his life was destroyed, his last memory of normalcy. His brain created a snapshot of that exact moment and projected it into Dimension X. Every detail of Hawkins on that specific day got copied. The alphabet Joyce painted on the wall shouldn't exist in the Upside Down because she painted it after Will disappeared, but it does exist there. Because Will's connection to his mother was strong enough that he sensed what she was doing. He unconsciously added it to his version of Hawkins so they could communicate. That's not Vecna's power. That's Will's power. Here's more evidence. Henry Creel wanted Dimension X to remain unspoiled by mankind. He told Eleven that. He wanted a realm with no human corruption, no civilization. Why would he then spend 4 years recreating an entire human town down to the smallest detail? It goes against his entire philosophy. He wouldn't, but Will would. Hawkins is Will's home. Even in a nightmare dimension, while being hunted by monsters, his mind would gravitate toward the familiar, toward safety, toward the only thing that could give him hope. The theory suggests Will has the same type of reality-shaping powers as Vecna and Eleven, except Will's abilities manifest through emotion and memory rather than rage and hatred. Vecna shaped the Mind Flayer through his hatred of humanity and love of spiders. Will shaped the Upside Down through his love of home and desperate need for safety. Both of them have the power to influence Dimension X. That's why Vecna wants Will. That's why he kept Will alive in Season 1. That's why he possessed Will in Season 2. That's why he still has a connection to Will in Season 5. The Duffer Brothers said Season 5 will finally answer what the Upside Down is and why Will was taken. This theory answers both perfectly. The Upside Down is a psychic projection of Hawkins created by Will Byers on November 6, 1983. Will was taken because Vecna sensed his ability to shape reality and wanted to use that power for his invasion. If the final battle comes down to Will versus Vecna, it's not just hero versus villain, it's two creators fighting for control of the dimension they've both shaped. Vecna made it a hellscape of monsters. Will made it home. Whichever vision of reality wins determines the fate of Hawkins, and possibly the entire world. These 5 theories represent the most discussed and credible predictions for the Mind Flayer's role in Stranger Things Season 5. The Mind Flayer controlling Vecna instead of being controlled by him, Will Byers possessing hidden powers that could destroy Vecna, Max Mayfield's consciousness trapped inside Vecna's mind, the Thessal Hydra appearing as the final monster, Will creating the upside-down version of Hawkins through psychic projection. Every theory is backed by canonical evidence from the show. Dustin's descriptions of the Mind Flayer as ancient, Will's connection to the Upside Down across 4 seasons, Max's empty mind after Vecna's attack, the Thessal Hydra miniature in Season 1, the Upside Down frozen on November 6, 1983. The Duffer Brothers have been planning the final season for years, and these theories align with the questions they've promised to answer. What is the Upside Down? Why was Will taken? Is Vecna really the final villain? Season 5 starts November 26, 2025. The Mind Flayer's true nature will finally be revealed. Whether it's the ancient evil puppeting Vecna from the shadows, or the power source Will and Vecna are both fighting to control, or something else entirely that no theory predicted, the wait is almost over. If you enjoyed this breakdown of every major Mind Flayer theory for Stranger Things Season 5, subscribe with notifications turned on so you never miss new Stranger Things content.